It was the beginning of summer break, and the anticipation of a 2-week all-girls camp loomed ahead. My best friend Avery, the bearer of tales from her past camp adventures, had convinced me to join her this time. Having never experienced a meticulously planned summer before, I eagerly accepted. Vacations were a luxury my busy parents couldn't afford, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity for some genuine fun, quality time with Avery, and perhaps the chance to forge new friendships. A 2-hour drive with Mom brought us to the camp nestled in the woods. However, upon arrival, an uneasy feeling settled within me. Was it just the nervousness of being 2 hours away from home, or the apprehension of being away for 2 whole weeks? We settled into our cabin, and as our counselor outlined the camp rules, handing out schedules, the unease lingered. Our routine was strict: 7 a.m. wake-up, breakfast at the cafeteria, and the first week meant mornings at the lake for swimming. Excitement buzzed through me. I'd never done anything like this before. Sharing breakfast with a group of girls, we engaged in casual chatter. Then, out of the blue, they dropped a chilling story. 23 years ago, a young girl took her own life in the lake, and her body was never found. As an impressionable 11-year-old, I believed every word. Avery, more skeptical, suggested we move elsewhere. My mind, clouded by the unsettling story, refused to focus on breakfast. Heading to the lake, my uneasy feeling persisted. On the dock, as Avery joyfully jumped in, the world beneath me shifted. I assumed it was Avery trying to coax me into joining, but the dock trembled. I hesitated but eventually joined the warm water. The day unfolded in a series of water games until, ready to leave, I stumbled over something in the sand. What I saw was straight out of a horror movie, a bone protruding from the sand. A scream escaped me, and I sprinted to our counselor, Avery following. Tears streaming, I recounted the story we heard that morning and my bone-chilling discovery. The counselor's concerned expression mirrored the gravity of the situation. She signaled for the others to leave the water, and after a shower back at the cabin, we carried on with our day. Strangely, the trauma of the moment seemed to fade. The second day brought a new adventure, canoeing. Although wary of being in the water, I was okay with this activity. Breakfast was a tense affair, with the girls from before discussing the haunting story. One, named Katie, approached us, inquiring about the bone. Did I think it was human? I couldn't be sure, having only glimpsed it in my panic. Katie, undeterred, sat with Avery, resuming the eerie tale. An attempt to escape the unsettling conversation led me to the bathroom. Alone, I heard a stall slam shut, sending shivers down my spine. Peering under the door revealed no feet. Panic set in, and I fled the bathroom, rejoining the group at the table. The unsettling incidents were piling up, each one more disturbing than the last. The canoeing adventure started with me being one of the first to set sail. Confidence grew as I navigated the canoe, but a sudden jolt capsized it. Confusion clouded my mind as a cold hand gripped my leg, pulling me beneath the surface. Miraculously, the life jacket kept me afloat, and the counselor swiftly rescued me. On the shore, gasping for breath, I questioned my sanity. The hand that gripped me felt unmistakably human. The counselor suggested it might have been a large fish, but the sensation didn't match. A call to my mom followed, and she decided it was best for me to leave. My bags were packed, and as my mom's car pulled up, I left the camp, the traumatic events etched in my memory. Years later, Avery and I had drifted apart, and the camp experience remained a distant nightmare. Curiosity led me to research the camp, confirming Katie's story. A girl did take her life in that lake, her body never recovered. The revelation sent chills down my spine, contemplating what could have transpired if I stayed longer. The decision to avoid summer camps became a permanent stance. A boring summer seemed far preferable to one straight from my nightmares. The scars of that experience ran deep, impacting not only my perception of summer camps but also altering the course of a once close friendship. Traumatic events have a way of shaping our lives, and this one left an indelible mark, a stark reminder of the thin line between innocent adventure and a plunge into darkness. The year I turned 16, my grandparents' remote ranch nestled in the Rim Mountains of Arizona became the backdrop for a weekend that would etch itself into my memory with an indelible ink of fear. Their property boasted 7 quaint cabins, occasionally rented out to visitors. While my family often visited during the spring and summer, we seldom braved the harsh winters, notorious for biting cold and heavy snowfall. However, one fateful January weekend, we decided to defy convention and embark on a winter retreat. Accompanying me were my brother, his wife, their 2 young children, and my cousin. As we arrived, snowflakes descended gracefully, weaving a serene tapestry around us. The day unfolded as any other, but night arrived with an unexpected haste. My cousin and I planned to share one of the cabins, and as the evening progressed, fatigue overcame me. Despite the snow's beauty, the walk back to our cabin took an eerie turn under the moon's dim glow. Armed with a flashlight, my vision extended only to the nearby trees, leaving the vast darkness beyond to my imagination. It was then, perhaps due to the biting cold or an instinctive sixth sense, that the hair on my neck stood on end. A feeling of solitude, yet not quite alone, engulfed me. Frozen in place, I scanned my surroundings. Nothing seemed amiss, but an inexplicable unease lingered. Shaking off the sensation, I continued my journey. Reaching the cabin, I prepared for bed, settling into the queen-sized embrace of my refuge. The cabin was cozy, accommodating a small bathroom, a large bed, nightstands, a desk, and a couch. 3 medium-sized windows adorned the walls, one directly above the bed, a skylight casting a soft glow. As I was about to succumb to the embrace of sleep, an otherworldly noise shattered the silence. The sound emanated from directly behind me, beyond the cabin window. A growl, deep and subtle, crawled into my consciousness, making me jump. Instinctively, I turned to face the source, only to be met with a sight that defied reason. Inches away, a creature resembling a wolf stood, its presence beyond the window defying all logic. A neighbor's escaped dog or a wild wolf seemed improbable. The window's placement on a steep slope required a creature taller than any human. My breath caught as the creature slammed a hand against the window. A grotesque human-like appendage, adorned with long claws, left me paralyzed. The creature dragged its claws across the glass, producing a dreadful symphony. Panic surged through me as it slowly retreated, disappearing into the snowy darkness. Yet, its lumbering presence persisted, occasionally scratching at the cabin's wooden exterior as if testing for vulnerabilities. A realization struck me like a bolt: I had left the front door unlocked for my cousin. In a frantic dash, I reached the front door, clutching my phone tightly. Fear propelled my actions as I locked the door, crouching in a corner away from the prying eyes of the large windows. With trembling hands, I dialed my mom, each ring amplifying the looming dread. Connectivity in the mountainous terrain played truant, testing my nerves. Finally, I heard my mother's voice, her concern evident. I relayed the surreal encounter, the creature's claws, and the unnerving noises outside. As the call continued, a heavy force crashed against the cabin, shaking its foundations. Lights flickered, and I screamed, dropping the phone. The creature circled, the sounds of its presence persisting until the familiar grumble of my grandpa's truck shattered the night. Relief washed over me as my grandpa, accompanied by my uncles, armed to the teeth, approached. Their arrival marked the retreat of the mysterious creature into the shadows. My family, alarmed by my distress, bombarded me with questions. My grandpa, a pillar of strength, decided they needed to investigate. Armed and resolute, they ventured into the snow-laden night. An agonizing wait followed as I huddled in my grandparents' house. When they returned, their faces mirrored the color of freshly fallen snow. Clutching their firearms, they recounted finding massive paw prints, dwarfing my grandpa's hands, and gouges reaching the rooftop, an impossibility for any local bear. The dread didn't end that night. Weeks later, a Skype conversation between my mom and grandpa revealed a grim reality, one of their bulls torn to shreds in the field, surrounded by the same ominous paw prints. The situation had escalated, prompting calls to local game wardens for an investigation. As we left the ranch the next day, the ominous presence lingered, a silent reminder of the unknown horrors that could lurk in the shadows of rural landscapes. The story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the tranquility of nature can harbor mysteries beyond comprehension. The wilderness, though breathtaking, demands respect and vigilance. In the heart of seclusion, the line between the known and the unknown blurs, leaving those who tread the path vulnerable to the watchful eyes of enigmatic creatures. The snow-covered landscapes may appear pristine, but beneath the surface lies the potential for encounters that defy logic, leaving an everlasting imprint on the psyche of those who experience them. The summer camp was not my idea. My parents had this grand plan for my brother and me to spend a week in the great outdoors, surrounded by the beauty of nature. While the concept appealed to some, I, on the other hand, couldn't think of anything worse. But, parental decisions are not up for debate, and so, reluctantly, I found myself standing at the entrance of a rustic cabin, my new temporary home for the week. The initial proceedings involved the usual registration rituals and settling into the cabin. I was the first to arrive, and as my counselor introduced himself, I couldn't help but feel a tinge of regret for letting my parents talk me into this. Soon, other campers trickled in, and we engaged in the obligatory get-to-know-you game before heading off to dinner. The first night passed without any remarkable incidents. We all retired to our respective sleeping bags, and the rhythmic sounds of the forest lulled me into a dreamless sleep. It was the second night when things took an unexpected turn. In the depths of the night, I found myself caught in a dream, or at least what I thought was a dream. I was in my sleeping bag, surrounded by the dense woods. Yet, this wasn't an ordinary dream, I was lucid. Aware of my dream state, I tried to wake up, but the transition wasn't smooth. Despite my efforts, the wooded surroundings persisted. Panic set in as I groped around, feeling the texture of cabin walls instead of the expected foliage. In this strange dream within a cabin, I fumbled for my watch, its familiar weight providing some comfort. Pressing a button, it beeped and illuminated the surreal scene. The illusion shattered, and I awoke in the actual cabin. However, the fear and confusion lingered, compelling me to wake up my cabin mates in a frenzy. Their bewildered expressions labeled me the weird kid, and the night became a whispered tale among the campers. The next peculiar incident unfolded during a daytime hike. As we approached the entrance to the trail, I noticed a girl dressed in white, standing along the path. What made her odd was the fact that no one else seemed to acknowledge her presence. Duty-bound to follow the group, I approached her, and with every step, her image faded. This spectral encounter was just the beginning. As we ventured along the trail, more strangely dressed children appeared, each one fading away as we drew near. It was as if my perception was glitching, revealing glimpses of an alternate reality that others were oblivious to. The eerie procession ceased when we reached the destination, a building where everyone was heading. The ominous twist awaited inside. The interior was swallowed by a shadowy black mass, an amorphous entity that seemed to consume the space within. The other campers nonchalantly walked into it, as if stepping through a harmless threshold. Terrified, I hesitated, unable to comprehend the bizarre scene unfolding before me. Eventually, like the previous illusions, the shadowy mass dissipated, leaving me in bewildered solitude. What on earth was happening at this camp? Was it a shared hallucination, a product of collective stress, or something more sinister? Questions buzzed in my mind, and uncertainty became my unwanted companion. Days passed, and the disconcerting events lingered in my thoughts. The camp took on a surreal quality, as if existing on the fringe of reality. I began to question not only the environment but also my own sanity. Was I experiencing a psychological breakdown, or was there a tangible explanation for these surreal occurrences? The nights were the worst. The line between dreams and reality blurred, and each morning brought a renewed sense of disorientation. Conversations with fellow campers became strained, their sidelong glances indicative of my newfound reputation as the odd one out. As the week wore on, I grappled with the uncertainty of whether the camp itself was haunted by some unseen force or if I was the one undergoing a mental unraveling. The unease reached its peak during the final night, as if the accumulated strangeness of the week had culminated in a crescendo of confusion. In the quiet hours, I found myself staring out of the cabin window. The moonlight painted an eerie glow on the surrounding trees. The same sense of dread that had accompanied my dreams returned, and I felt an inexplicable urge to explore the campgrounds in the dead of night. I stepped outside, the night air thick with an otherworldly stillness. As I navigated the familiar paths, a surreal tableau unfolded. The woods seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy, and shadows danced in rhythmic patterns. My heart pounded as I stumbled upon the clearing where the black mass had manifested earlier. There, in the moonlight, I saw faint traces of the strange figures, children in ethereal attire, frozen in a spectral dance. A sudden realization struck me: the camp held secrets, and I was somehow attuned to its mysteries. These apparitions weren't mere figments of my imagination, they were echoes of something deeply embedded in the camp's history. With trepidation, I approached the spectral gathering. The figures remained oblivious to my presence, locked in a timeless reverie. As I reached out to touch one, my hand passed through the incorporeal form, sending shivers down my spine. These were not hallucinations, they were imprints of the past, lingering in the present. The night unfolded in a surreal dance between the seen and unseen, the known and unknown. The revelations were both unsettling and enlightening. It was as if the camp itself held memories, and I had inadvertently tapped into its hidden narrative. As dawn approached, the spectral figures gradually faded, leaving me alone in the silent clearing. The weight of the inexplicable experiences bore down on me, but a newfound understanding accompanied the unease. The camp was a repository of memories, and I had become an unwitting spectator to its spectral tales. The final day of camp arrived, and as the bus pulled away, I looked back at the cabin and the woods that had been the stage for this enigmatic drama. The camp had left an indelible mark on me, a tapestry woven with the threads of the inexplicable. In the years that followed, the memories of that surreal week persisted, a vivid chapter in the annals of my life. The camp remained a place of mystery, a realm where reality and illusion intertwined. Whether it was a manifestation of my psyche or a genuine encounter with the supernatural, I would never know for certain. The whispers of that peculiar summer camp would echo in the corridors of my mind, a haunting reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved.